Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am Kate. Very excited, so excited to share this insight with everyone because it is one I have held on to for so many years. Just waiting, but wanting to share it with everyone, but not knowing how or when the right time was. And I did believe that there would be a right time, being that this was like 5 years ago that I had this experience. And so I've just kept this. And so I'm very excited to see that all of these years later, here this insight is coming into play and fitting with the concept of self videos that I'm now choosing to do. So with that being said, a little bit of a background as to how the insight came about, right? Well, years ago, I decided to eat shrooms for the first time. And I'm just naturally always have been extremely inquisitive, very curious, especially when it comes to life and why are we here? What's the meaning? What is all of this? I know that we have normalized interpretations of life, but that's not good enough for me. I'm still like, what are we doing here? What is all of this? And why? What's the meaning? And who am I? And what is self? And really, ate some shrooms. Clearly, these were going to be questions that I was going to be asking during this experience. And so, sitting in front of a mirror, because, to me, that's how we see ourselves. That's a reflection. Just felt normal to do at the time. And asking all of these questions, the insight that came to my mind is life is a question we are constantly answering. And I wrote that on my mirror immediately. And while it provides some clarity, I think that it also provides more questions, right? So it then got me thinking, well, life is a question. What's life? I already was questioning what's life, but then is everything life? And I know that I'm asking a lot of questions just internally on a daily basis. I think we all are. Should I watch this video? There are tons of questions, especially when it comes to questions of which are going to be reliant upon a concept of ourself within the answer, right? So, hey, I really want this thing, but X, Y, and Z is saying I can't have it. But who's really saying that? Who's answering the questions, then comes into play. So we are answering. Life is a question. We are constantly answering at that. So the wordplay, I think, is always very interesting because, for one, it's the word we. It wasn't self-subjective. It wasn't life is a question I am constantly answering. It came as this insight that life is a question we are constantly answering. Okay, so this involves everybody. You all are all answering your own life's questions. So I want to get into, again, I kind of wanted to start it. I wanted to start defining life. Life is a question. Oh, well, that's very broad. I'm even life. So I do feel that when life is giving us contrast to what we're currently experiencing, that is a question as well, right? So we're continually, constantly answering these questions. It's perpetual. It's not ever going to stop until we die. I don't know, because I don't know what happens then. But life. So then too, a lot of people this is all life. Reality can be life. The universe can be considered life. God can be considered life. Life, I think, was presented in this insight because it is such a general term that to really define it, and I'm very open to hearing your suggestions down below. But so it made me question, well, what is life? And I know what life is to me. And it's just this energy and this flow that we experience. Like, there is no escaping life while you're alive. It's a constant. So it's nonstop. So life is just like 100%, here you are. Life is a question. So if life is nothing more than this continual, constant question that we are answering, I do feel, though, that we was meant just sharing purposes for everybody, but on another level, you do have to break that down to decipher how you're answering it. Because a lot of times how it's being answered is dependent upon and reliant upon the concept that we have of ourself, right? And so I think it's really important when we're answering these questions, because this is the other thing. Kind of feel like I was given partial information because life is going to respond to the questions, right, that we are answering. So are you even going to like the response based on your own answer? Are you going to like the response? Because life is going to grant your answer, whether it be positive, negative, neutral. It's going to grant that. I also want to express adamantly that these answers are not always vocal. We can say, yes, I want this or that all day, or no, I don't. That comes into play, but so does so many other factors. Again, the concept that we have of ourselves, right? So if we're thinking, yes, I want this, but I really don't think I can have it, you're not going to get it. What you're going to do is create a lot of conflict in your answer, and life is going to respond, but it's probably going to be like, well, we don't really know. So we're going to hang here in this limbo while you figure it out. We're going to give you some contrast along the way because, again, life is a question we are constantly answering. So it doesn't stop. It's just like feedback, and we're just constantly answering it. Again, not just vocally, but via our thoughts, our feelings. And a lot of that stems from the concept that we have of ourself. So concept going into the estimate, right? The worth, how we see ourselves. What are we worth? A lot of times that's how we're answering these questions, along with an I am is how we're answering these questions as well. So again, it created more questions. It created more questions. Who and what is life? But again, to me, an energy that's just flowing and we are a part of. So essentially we are life, also proposing questions. It's all just one big thing. Proposing a question that we are answering. And again, do you even like the answers that you're giving? Like if life is answering, or if life is giving you a question and you are answering that, do you really like the answer? I think it's important that when we are answering the questions that are being proposed, we need to do so with an open heart and an open mind. And with the idea that we don't know anything, we don't know the future. We can presume and assume a lot of things, and that works really well. But the actuality is that sometimes we use our current circumstances to answer life's questions, but that's not life's question. It's not like based off of what you have, like based off of this. It's more of like, do you want this? And then you say yes or no. But a lot of times that yes or no is backed by like, well, no, because of this or because of that. We make excuses. I think that we could benefit from answering these with the utmost sincerity and disregard any other factors and focus solely on what do I really want. Life is a question we are constantly answering. And again, our answer is going to speak volumes to the concept that we have of ourself. So I invite you all to be cognizant of the questions being asked and of how you're answering these questions. I think that life is presenting and does present questions in an effort to provide contrast. So, oh, well, I don't like this or I don't like that. And life's like, oh, well, here's some other options. And they help us to define clarity within our answers. So again, if to me, I'm like, well, if life is giving me this, it's obviously a yes. I don't need to worry about if it can be afforded or this or that, because again, I don't know. And all I know is that I'm given whatever answers, be it positive, negative, or neutral. Life does not care. It's just going to grant. Here you go. Here you go. It's just going to give you. It's going to respond to the answer that you give. Again, not always vocal. There's more that goes into it. And for some reason, 3 just popped in there. So it's like a 3-part process. That I don't know. And I'm not even going to... I think it's also important, I'm just looking at my notes that I've had to redo like a million times along with this video. It's very, very important as well that when we're answering the questions that life is asking, that we do so confidently, right? So but we need to do it with like, we want to feel good about the answers we're given, right? That we are giving back to the universe. Because ultimately, if we think that, okay, life is asking a question and we're answering that question, there's got to be a response. Are we going to like that response? Do we want that response? So answer it confidently, knowing that like that is the response you want. That was the intention, the intended response. So again, life is going to just respond according to our answers, and it's just a continual question. It's something that we've experienced and we're going to continue to experience. It's not something that stops. Life is a question we are constantly answering. Plain and simple. So I think overall, aside from sharing the mirror with you all, which that'll be up here, I want to thank you all so much for watching and listening. And if you have enjoyed this video and this insight, hit the thumbs up button for me. I would greatly appreciate that. I would also love your take on life is a question we are constantly answering. Feel free to define life. I would love to hear your answers down below, your commentary on the subject down below in the comments section. Something popped in my mind and it left, and seeing if I can remember what that was before I bid you temporarily farewell. I guess not. So again, if you've enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up. If you have anything you'd like to share, I would love to hear it down in the comments. And thank you so much for watching.